So I'm a big fan of this phrase called taking the rough with the smooth. As a musician in the music industry, I feel like it sums up your career as a musician, which is the highest of highs when you're on stage in front of huge crowds playing music and just thinking this is incredible, right the way through to those low moments where you're standing on stage thinking, I think I might quit, and everything in between. And I think that develops respect as a musician, and I'm a big fan of taking the lows as well as taking the highs, because it builds your character, but also it builds your technique as a musician. But today, story time. I want to tell you a story of the worst gig that I ever did. So way back in the day, I moved from my hometown, which is in Swansea. So I'm from another country called Wales, for a lot of people who are from around the world. And I come from a city in Wales called Swansea. Grew up there, played music all around Wales. Wales has got a lot of valleys, so I played lots of rugby clubs and got better and better at my instrument. It got to a point where it was time to leave. I got signed, got dropped, and at that point I just thought I need something else. I'd failed at everything. I'd failed my GCSEs twice, which was my kind of, in the UK we have the entry level to go to high school, and so I'd failed those exams. I had to resit the entire year whilst all my friends went off to college. I failed them all again, became a bass player, record deal failed. At that point I decided I need to get to near London so that I could make a living as a bass player. So I hadn't been in England for very, very long. And I was desperate for work. I knew that I was going to do anything it took to be able to pay my way as a bass player so I didn't have to get a job. So I took on any and every gig that I could have. And I got a phone call from an agent saying, emergency gig, do you want to do it tomorrow? So I was like, absolutely, I'll be there. He said, don't have any contract, so just turn up at this address. Here's the number for the sound guy. I said, great, I'm on it, I won't let you down. So I'm really excited, I've got this gig, it's the next day, I have to make sure I'm preparing everything. So next thing is I phone the sound guy and I say to the sound guy, don't worry, we'll be there tomorrow. Is there anything that we need or don't need? He said, yeah, don't worry about any backline. I've got the whole thing sorted and you're gonna go through our PA. The PA's big, so all you need is effectively instruments and I'll do the rest. So I said, okay. I said, do you not want me to bring a bass amp? I've got a 5-string bass. I've got that low B. I was like, sure you don't want me to bring my bass amp? He said, no, PA's big enough. We'll just DI everything through the PA. So I said, fine, no problems. See you tomorrow. Next day comes, don't need to take much. Take instruments, get in the car, drive to the gig, get there, meet the sound guy. And the sound guy picks up what is those old school kind of decks, those old school kind of wheels of steel. And I was like, oh, he's obviously going to be a full-on DJ. And he brings it in and he says, can you grab the speakers out of my car? And I think to myself, the speakers out of your car? I hope he's got a big car. Anyway, I get there, it's got two, I think they're 12, it might mean 15-inch speakers, but two 15-inch at best, probably 12-inch speakers, probably about this big. And I just think, are these the monitors? So I said to him, are these the monitors? And he says, no, this is the PA. And you know when you have that horrible sinking feeling of, I've made a terrible mistake, I haven't brought all the gear, I should have just brought it anyway. And I just said to him, we can't go, the band can't go to this PA, it's just nowhere near big enough. He's like, no, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. It's like 150 watt side speakers. And then I realized that the PA head is the wheels of steel. So I just said to him, look, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna need to get a PA. Now I've only just moved from another country a couple of weeks back. I don't know anyone around here, but I start getting on the phone, trying to figure out how I can get a PA. I think there was a venue down the road that had some speakers. So I basically went and just got as much stuff as I could, got it into the venue and started setting up because this sound guy was obviously a complete idiot. So set everything up. The way it works was we had some stuff on track and I said, the sound guy had already said to him, I need you to just cover the track. All you've got to do is press play and stop. It's not hard. It's an old DAT tape. This was how long ago this was. An old DAT tape. You just have to press play or you just have to press stop. He says, yes, I can do that. But you have to put it by me and he's the other side of the room. Brilliant. So I have to set the entire PA up, put the DAT machine all the way over by him. Everything's fine. We get set up. It sounds okay. No problem at all. And then the lighting guy presses a button and checks the strobe light. And the strobe goes off and the sound guy, who's about 10 foot in front of me, just, it's like someone's, like, you know, you see those police programs where someone tases them and they just go, and he just bolts upright and he just falls. And as he falls, and we're watching him with this kind of slow motion, kind of like, we're never going to get to him in time. And as he fell, there was a desk, and it was just the perfect sort of distance away for him, just for his head to smash into the desk as he fell. And you know that noise where it's like head on wood, and you just think, and instantly, as soon as he hit his head, it was so hard. I remember just thinking, he dead, that's the end of him. Anyway, so he's lying and there's blood and everyone's panicking, and I'm thinking, oh, this is not ideal. Anyway, so the ambulance comes and he's okay, they take him away, he's fine. But at this point now, we don't have a sound guy, and the guy who's about to do the DAT machine, so I'm trying to do it, anyway, can't do it. So I say, I just want to go home. I'm just doing it myself. I'm going to walk down, I'm going to press play, I'm going to walk back to the stage. I'll just do it myself. I don't care anymore. So at this point, gigs about an hour later, we're chilling out backstage, just sort of in the green room. And then, you know that thing where you just sort of say, should we have a look at the crowd, see what the crowd looks like? So we peek through the curtains, and I just think, they do look rather old. And the gig was for a pensions company. So it was a corporate gig for a pensions company. But what I realized was, at that moment, it was a pensions company where the pensions company had thrown an event for pensioners. So the youngest person there was at least as old as the sun. I mean, these people were as old as forever. They basically had leather skin, and it was people sort of, they were so old, they were in wheelchairs. And I just thought, we're gonna kill them. I mean, we literally are gonna walk on stage, and the first thing we do is play some massive riff, or The Boys Are Back in Town, or something heavy. I was like, you can't play that to 85-year-old people. This is going to be an absolute disaster. So I run backstage and I'm like, we have to change the set. We have to just come up with anything. So we start scribbling out anything we can think of pre-1970, any songs that we can think of which are just non-offensive songs. So we do the gig, we get through the gig, and the gig is, let's say, just a horrific experience of 300 people just staring, sat down, as we are tentatively trying to play as nicely as possible to entertain some people. We get through the gig, get to the end, and I just think, I just want to go home. And the agent's not going to get the best feedback, and it's not going to be ideal, but let's just get home. So we're packing the stuff up. I walk over to the guy who's in charge of the club, and I just say, that was tough, and he agrees. And I just said, look, just gonna get our stuff out. Can I have the pay? Can I have the money? And he looks at me a bit confused and says, it's not a pay on the night. I've paid the agent. The agent will pay you. Now, I'm from a different place. I have moved to a place called Guildford in Surrey. Now, this place is middle class, beautiful, full of lovely people. But I've come from a different place altogether, which is a place called Swansea in South Wales, where this stuff happens all the time. You're playing rugby clubs, you're playing clubs, and promoters say, yeah, we'll pay you. And then you get there and they go, oh, we didn't get as many people turn up at the door. So it's just at that point, a battle of wills of how you're going to get that money. So I said to him, mate, heard it all before. Honestly, not today. This is not the day. I've just had a horrific day. Give me the money. And he says, it's not a pay on the night. It's an agency fee, so ring the agent. So I said, it's 2 a.m. I'm not going to ring the agent. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, this goes backwards and forwards with me starting to get slightly more irate. Give me the money. I want the money. I'm not leaving out the money. Until the point where, very begrudgingly, he gives me the money. And I was like, thank you. We will now leave. So I'm packing the stuff up, taking it out, starting to put it into the car. And all of a sudden, these blue sirens appear, and I'm sort of putting stuff up, and I was like, what's going down here? And they stop just outside, and I'm thinking, wow, something's kicking off. And then I realized what's kicking off is about to be me being arrested for effectively threatening this guy and making him pay me money. So I'm explaining it, going, no, it's just that we did the gig, and I wanted to get the money, and he owed me the money, and it's kind of went on for ages. They weren't buying it, so effectively off they went, put me in the back of this police car. So I'm sat in the back of this police car. I'm 19 years old. Not only am I just thinking, ooh, I can't ring my mum and say, I've kind of been arrested. I'm in the back of a police car. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't ring the agent. I don't really know what to do. My mates from the band are just looking perplexed at what's going on. I'm just thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I've never been in this situation. So I just had to sit in the back of this police car for an hour whilst they sorted stuff out, while they were talking to me and asking me questions. And I didn't really think I'd done anything really wrong. And they were like, we'll take you down to the station and we're going to probably charge you. And I was like, ooh, this sounds proper grown up and horrible stuff. I was thinking, how am I going to explain this on Monday when I go to where I was at the time on a course to Bruce, who a lot of you guys know. And I was like, well, I'll explain this to Bruce on Monday. I got arrested at a gig. This is not going to be very good. Anyway, after a while, they went, look, it's fine. We've sorted it out with the owner. Nothing further is going to happen. So then the worst bit is, it's now 3 o'clock in the morning. The landlord has gone to bed. The band have basically just waited for me, and I had to literally knock on the door, and he opens the door looking half angry, half sheepish, and half probably quite smug. And I had to do this really awkward thing where I had to give him the money back, and I had to say, oh, I'm really sorry. Please, can I get the rest of my stuff? Because some of my stuff was still in there. I had to go in, get my stuff, keep apologizing, come back out and go home. The next day, then I phoned the agent to explain what happened, found out that it wasn't a pay on the night. It was actually a paid gig from the agent, which I'd never heard of before because I'd never done that. The agent then threatened to break my legs. Needless to say, I didn't get any more gigs from that agent. And that will always go down as the worst gig, where we played to 100-year-old people who didn't enjoy it for 2 hours before getting arrested for threatening someone to give me money who didn't owe me any money. And to me, it's the ultimate story of just appreciate the good gigs, because there's probably going to be bad gigs around the corner. And in that one, that was the worst one for me. Yeah, so what a trip down memory lane. So I want to hear your stories in the comments below. I want to hear your worst ever gig stories. We've all had great gig stories. We've all got stuff that we're really, really proud of, but we've also got those terrible, horrible nights where we'd rather forget. I've got a few. That was my worst one. And I want to hear your worst ever gig story in the comment below. Whether it was people not showing up, or terrible crowds, or traveling to gigs and there was some disaster, but keep it light, no death. But on the whole, I want to hear in the comments below your worst ever gig story. Cool, well, thanks very much. If you could do me a favor, like, subscribe, the usual thing. More importantly, come and be a part of this community, because I'm so proud of how it's growing. I'm so proud of all the conversations we're having about where the music industry is, where it's going, the strategies that you guys are using, and how I can help you. And that stuff is happening in the comments. So get involved. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, if I haven't been arrested. Oh no!